Near the water, great, okay. It's I like that answer. I never knew that could even be a possibility. I thought I was just going to stay in Middle Tennessee for my entire life, and I thought I would be fine with that. But through working hard and writing and working hard in school, I ended up getting an internship at The Late Show with David Letterman, which is how I got out of Tennessee. And then I discovered that New York City is not scary at all, and I stayed, and I've been there ever since. I currently write for the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. Has anyone ever heard of the UCB before? Okay. Does anyone watch Saturday Night Live? Okay, or The Office? Or 30 Rock, or Community, or Parks and Recreation? Yeah.
Don't watch TV at all.
Okay. I like all your input. This is great.
I draw.
I love that. I draw too. But we're talking about writing today. Anyway, all of those TV shows basically have my friends on them, which is a crazy thing that I can say now. The UCB Theater was started by Amy Poehler, who was on Parks and Recreation, was on SNL. It's an improv comedy theater that I stumbled into when I moved to New York. And since then, Bobby Moynihan from SNL is my friend. Zach Woods, who plays Gabe on The Office, was one of my teachers. And this is all through writing that I've gotten that far. How many of you guys enjoy writing? Okay, that's why you're here. I like this. So do you guys write outside of school, or do you only write when your teacher tells you to?
No.
Outside school.
Awesome. What kind of stuff do you guys write? Stories. That's good.
Poems, songs, and stories.
Yeah, okay.
Everything, basically.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to writing school assignments, do you guys have as much? Yeah. That.
This class is a fun writing class.
Okay.
It's easy now.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to bring up. If you guys write every single day, when you guys get saddled with assignments, writing becomes so much easier. My mom knows this. I wrote every single day when I was a kid. G.I. Joe stories, Ninja Turtles, the X-Men. I would just write all the time. So when I got to high school and middle school, every time I got an assignment, you have to take that mindset of how can I make this fun? How can I make this fun for me? Because I really think that teachers, Mr. Hinds probably appreciates creativity. Because I don't know if you guys really think about the perspective of a teacher, but a teacher has to read all of your essays. They have to read everything. So anything you can do to make yourself seem more individual or creative or interesting, that's really going to at least entertain your teacher. I used to, when I was a freshman in high school, I worked references to Jerry Springer into every single essay that I wrote. Did anyone here ever watch Jerry Springer? That's a really old show now that I realize. Yeah, it's an awful show. But I was obsessed with it, and I would work it into my English essays, and my teacher really appreciated that for some reason. I feel like every single person here has a voice. Every single one of you you only know what is going on in your head. And every single one of you has thoughts that are totally different than anyone else. Who are your favorite musicians?
Ronnie Radke.
Who?
Ronnie Radke.
Okay, and you got another one?
Journey.
Journey. How old are you? Okay. But they have completely different outlooks on life, right? Does Lil Wayne sound anything like Journey? No. Does Katy Perry sound like Coldplay? No. Every single one of you has your own viewpoint. You have your own.
We get graded on voice in class.
The what?
We get graded on our voice.
Oh, you do. Excellent.
Personality.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I'm a sketch comedy writer. So basically, at Saturday Night Live, I write the exact type of stuff that you see on Saturday Night Live, and I write this for the UCB Theater. Once a month, my team, which has 6 writers and 6 actors, we're officially selected by the theater to put on a show a month in front of an audience of 200 people. And I have to write constantly. And even though it's fun writing, even though I'm writing sketches about crazy characters or superheroes or weird things my mom has done, I've written a couple of those. Even though I'm writing that, there's still rules. I still have to work within very strict rules. But it's finding how to take those rules and make it fun is what I've really learned. Does anyone here write comedy? Or want to write comedy or interested. Okay. Who are your favorite comedians? Adam Sandler?
Myself.
Yourself? Okay. Yeah, I mean, they all started the exact same way. They all started like writing. And what is your least favorite thing to write? Let's see if we can. Non-fiction.
Information. If it has to be real, it's not fun.
Okay, that's interesting. I definitely see that. Like you're talking about like writing essays about like boring historical people.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had to read those yesterday.
Oh, jeez, right, guys?
We did.
Oh, yeah. I will say that like writing, like how many do you even keep like journals or diaries?
Yeah,
or
we
anything
have
like
to
that?
write a journal every day.
Wow, good stuff. I feel like that type of nonfiction, like writing about yourself and your own experience, is an awesome thing to do. So many of my sketches are literally taken straight from my life. Like just talking to my mom one time about how she was going on a road trip. I thought how she was talking about going on a road trip was very funny, so I wrote an entire sketch with a character named Teresa that then went up in front of an entire theater of people. And I feel like you guys are alive in a really awesome time. Like, when I was growing up, we didn't have, like, YouTube or access to video cameras or really the internet, actually. Like, there's so many ways you guys can, like, express yourselves. It's pretty cool. Like, you can create something and it can go into the internet, and you can get, recognition or get feedback or get famous from Loudoun, Tennessee. There's such a world of possibility out there that all of you guys are totally capable of attaining. You just have to work for it. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else, or any questions?
Oh, do you guys have? Well, tell us about kind of your process and how you would go about creating a sketch.
Oh, yeah, okay. A sketch, I started taking sketch classes in 2007. My Sketch 101 teacher now writes for Community. He also wrote for Mad TV. That all happened after.
Best thing on TV, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he became a staff writer on Community. But it seems really easy, doesn't it? Like when you watch SNL, it's like you just write something funny, and people do funny stuff. That's super easy, right? It's incredibly hard. It's a weird thing. It kind of shows how weirdly specific, and like all the rules. Like you have all the rules for like all the essays that you write here. Like you're like, oh, there's all these rules. You have to have an introductory paragraph, and then like bullet points, and then it's like the exact same applies to funny stuff too, which is the weird thing that I learned. Like it's not all just writing goofy stuff, and you really have to learn how to work within rules and restrictions. So usually it starts with like an idea, which is either like, oh, this is a funny thing I've noticed, or like a funny thing that my mom has done. Yeah. What?
Do you want to?
Dry erase marker?
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
got-
dry erase board.
I have
so
something
what is
very,
this?
very special
Watch
for
this.
Oh.
Watch this.
Oh,
you. Is it on? Is the light green?
Yes, yes.
God, I'm going to be blown away.
Go get the pen over there.
Blown away.
Yeah,
This is pretty sweet.
It's kind of booting up right now.
This is like the future all of a sudden.
It-
It's like a giant iPad.
It's like a
giant
giant
iPad?
iPad.
That's why till it comes on.
No, you just write on it.
Wait, now I just write on it?
Yeah.
And you can pick colors. Like if it isn't
You
right.
can pick colors and sizes.
She has to go click on the
That's
eraser.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm just going to play with this. If you guys want to watch. I'm just going to
We can play Pictionary.
Yeah.
I click on the pin.
Man.
That's it.
Wow.
You
Okay.
got it.
I figured I would actually like see like let's write a sketch like right now. I want to show you how fun this can be. Awesome. Yes.
Sketches and drawings, sketches.
No, that's like a sketch comedy. I have no idea why they call it sketch because it's extremely confusing. I totally agree because I also am an artist, so I like to sketch and then I write sketches. It's really weird. But what is like what's like an annoying or funny thing that you guys have noticed, like maybe about this class? Like, is there like a quirk or like something like a little minor thing?
Land shark.
Land shark.
Uh,
Wait, what is land shark? It's,
Instead of marble.
You put your hand on your back and take a figure of you
so, so
Do
this
you
is
know land
it.
shark?
Land
All right, I'm
shark.
gonna write land shark on the board.
And you can like take pictures of and everybody land sharks. Like gray little like.
Does it mean something?
Yeah. What is
No, you're just a land shark.
It's like blinking.
Okay. Is this like?
It's all the Channel Marbles. YouTube.
Okay, so it's a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, does everyone here does? Do you say like does the land shark? Or is it?
You
You are a land shark. Okay, I sounded really old there for a second. You kids do the land shark. So, what is fun about the land shark? Like, what's
Just do it out of nowhere.
out of nowhere? Okay.
Out of context, really. It's like
Okay.
the most awkward
It's
song.
awkward moment.
Yeah,
It's funny
awkward
because
moments.
it's out of
If you're in an official meeting and you're talking, but instead of
nowhere.
land sharks.
It's awkward moments. My handwriting is gross. I'm a teacher. Or out of context. Okay, this is you guys. Did you guys know that you guys are kind of already talking like comedy writers by noticing this? That's the thing about comedy writing. It's about like perceiving things. I feel like anyone can be a comedian. You just have to A, notice things, and then B, determine inside yourself that those things are worth noticing. So I feel like other people are like, what, land shark? Oh, what is that? Who cares? But you guys all notice it, and you know why it's funny. You know it's funny because it's just out of nowhere, or you just do it in awkward moments. Like, you know when it's funny, you know how to employ it. So if we're going to write a sketch about land shark, what is the most inappropriate time to do that?
In
In class? In a wedding! Alright, so... Okay, I think I like the funeral one more.
By the way, I'll show you this button right over here on the board. You can see it. That allows you to like you're flipping the
Whoa,
flip chart.
okay.
Yeah, and then you can go back to what you were doing.
21st century. We had chalk when I was in high school.
You're not that old.
Yeah, graduated in 2002. So funeral. I like funeral because I tend to either gravitate towards really silly things or really dark or inappropriate things sometimes. So it's like land sharking at a funeral. That is a thing you would pitch. Like I would go into, and I'm going to steal all of your ideas.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I would go into my team's meeting, and I would be like, okay, I have an idea for land sharking, and all my teammates would be like, what's that? And I'd be like, I don't know, these kids told me, but I'm not going to give them credit. And then I would say, land sharking, what if you did that at a funeral? And that is...
That's what
I was thinking.
Exactly, yeah, that's our next step. Is now we have the pitch, or the game of the scene. That's what we at UCB call the game. Like, I'm trying to think of SNL sketches. Like What Up With That? You guys know What Up With That? From SNL, where like there's nothing but like dancing all the entire time. The game of it's like the talk show never starts. They just dance and introduce people who never talk. So the game of this sketch would be, we're going to land shark at a funeral. So why would someone land shark at a funeral?
They're awkward. They're awkward.
They did not take their medication.
They hate the person's family. I don't know. They want to be interested.
Steal my words.
Okay, I'm emotionally unstable. See, this is a very important thing. This is like probably one of the most important things about writing a sketch, is that you have to have a reason for them to do the crazy thing, because otherwise you're just watching someone do something crazy. And if you don't know why they're doing it, you're not going to understand why, like, how would they behave somewhere else. So what if it is someone who, when they are sad, just land sharks? Like, that is their natural reaction. Like, they don't cry, they land shark. So we now have this person at a funeral. Whose funeral is it? Santa Claus.
In the bridge, she's doing the land shark.
Okay. It's her okay. Grandparents. I have to make sure I have my shadow. So yeah, so this is the person who land sharks. We're gonna say grandparents. I love Santa Claus, but I don't want to think about Santa Claus dying. Actually, the reason, to get really super specific and go off topic, the reason that you wouldn't do land sharking at Santa Claus's funeral is because land sharking is already weird enough. And sketches are all about finding like the very narrow, specific thing and just doing that. Because if you do land sharking at Santa Claus's funeral, Santa Claus's funeral is funny. Like a sketch about Santa Claus's funeral itself would be a thing that you could have enough fun with. This is really dark and morbid to talk about Santa Claus's funeral, but anyway. So we'll say that someone land sharks when they're sad and they're at their grandparents' funeral. So, in the structure of a sketch, sketches usually last between 4 to 5 pages, written pages, in the screenplay format, which means nothing.
What was that last thing you said? How many is in?
It's like 4 to 5 pages.
Is how long?
A sketch, a UCB sketch,
sketch.
Like 4 to 5, yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's SNL, then it's like 9 because they don't know how to edit. Amen. Yes, I love that. So we now have a person who land sharks when they're sad and they're at their grandparents' funeral. So you would have on the first page, you would want to set up, like it's really sad that my grandmother died. I know. Thanks for coming into town. Like you would just do like the normal like setting up of the funeral stuff, the normal funeral specifics, and then at some point, yes.
Someone would like remind you, you go, you used to do that and just land
Yeah, you would say, and like, oh, Bobby came here. Bobby takes this really hard. And then, well, why? What do you? Oh, yeah, we're all taking it really hard. Like, no, you don't understand. He land sharks. He takes things hard. And that would happen at the end of the first page, because you always, at the end of the first page of a sketch, you want the audience to know exactly what is happening. And this is the other thing that I struggle with, is I try and be too smart or too clever or too coy, and I would not say he land sharks when he gets sad. I would say like he does something interesting when he gets sad. And it's like, no. And this relates to when you're doing work for school. You want to be very clear with your point. You want to say, trying to think of like a school thing, The Great Gatsby is about this, or Frankenstein is about this. You want to be very specific. Those are high school books. You want to be very specific with your point and with your idea because you want everyone to be on the same page as you. So when it comes time to tell, what is this sketch going to be about? It's about someone who land sharks when they're sad. So we now are at the funeral. We now know that this dude land sharks when he's sad. We're now expecting it. So then enter our person. So what would be the first thing that would cause them to maybe land shark?
Sing the dead body. Yeah, they're going walking around.
Okay. Oh yeah, so now they're all like doing the going through a line. So yeah, so now we're gonna plan out our beats. So our first beat is, and beats are they're usually 3 beats to a sketch. It's kind of like the 3 points in an essay or something. They're the 3 things that you hit in a row in a sketch to show the general idea. Like if someone land sharks when they're sad, you're going to show them doing that at least 3 times, and each time they're going to get more intense or more crazy. So the first time, they're going to be doing a normal thing, which is unfortunately seeing the body at this funeral, their grandparents' funeral. This is extremely morbid into the day, but we're going to make it funny through land sharking. So seeing... that is a weird S. That is not It's fine. Seeing the body. So they see the body. What's
that a B?
That's a B. That's a B, okay? You have to make at least 8 different lines when you write a B. It's fine. So seeing the body is the first time they're going to land shark. And they're probably just going to do it a little, because you want to start off really small, because you have to build to something. You have to, like, you know, like the first fight scene in a movie? It's like really short, or it's like not that, you know, it's like, oh, that was really cool, I want to see more of that. And like the middle fight scene of a movie is like bigger, and like the end is like when, hopefully, the biggest thing happens. It's the same thing with a sketch. So what is the thing that can happen after seeing the body? After they've seen the body, they land shark just a little bit, and everyone's like, what's that? Okay, it's fine. The person, I know, I shouldn't do this, it's okay, I'm just coping. And they sit back down. What is the next thing? What do you think?
Like the testimonials and everybody like it's just about this person.
Okay. Singing. Okay, yeah. So, if they're singing a song, that's great. So let's do if they're singing a song.
It's gotta be
Someone is like singing, and
like,
yeah, this is where singing a song.
I know.
And this is where, so did I do all this? This looks crazy. Those shoes look crazy. So when they're singing a song, that's a good one. Because at this point, the audience knows what the sketch is. They know, okay, it's going to land sharp. So this is when you have to start trying to, like, trick them. Or, like have them, like, play with the expectations of the audience. So maybe they would sing, like, a happier song. Like, what's, like not I Will Always Love You. That's not Joy, like Joy to the World. They would sing Joy to the World, because this is that. This is
And then he land sharks so much he passes out on the floor.
Yeah. So they would sing Joy to the World, and the audience would be like, oh, well, he's not going to land shark because that's a happy song. And then, unbeknownst to the audience, that's when he really starts going at it. Because I remember when my grandparents, like at Christmas, they would sing Joy to the World together. The harmonies were just so beautiful. And the entire time, they're land sharking. The audience doesn't expect them to land shark at a happy song, so now you switch their perception. And now you get to write a really sad thing. This is what I enjoy doing. Is at this point when they're the justification, just justifying, like we did a justification earlier when we justified why they land shark when they're sad. Again, when they start land sharking to Joy to the World, you have to justify that, and that is where you can write the most depressing, sad. That you don't have to write anything funny because the funny thing is what they're doing and the contrast of them doing a silly, silly thing, but talking about a really, really sad occurrence.
He dies because he land shark.
Yeah, that'll be the third beat. So we'll go on and write that. Well, actually, let's make that. Let's put that as a possibility for the blackout, which we'll talk about in a second. We still got a little bit of sketch. Okay, what is this doing? There we go. B stands for blackout, which is the end of the sketch. I don't know. Death.
Land shark too much.
Death. That's death. I said this is death.
Oh,
This is death.
it's like that.
Lay off! Okay, so after singing a song, we could do testimony, because that does happen at a funeral. People get up and speak about the person. But it probably should be the guy that land sharks who does the speaking, right?
Yeah.
He should be the one that's doing that. Because now... testimony. So now, he is doing
He's like trying to conceal it, but he can't.
Yeah, like he's trying to. No,
What is
he's
that?
so bad.
Yeah,
He's trying to go so bad.
except, yeah, at this point, we're now in the third part of the sketch, so he's going crazy, yeah.
And like while he's going crazy, he has to pull out like lay on the ground, like fighting.
Like he's over the carpet. Laid on the carpet.
Okay, yeah, so like, as he's giving the testimony, it may be like, he's like, just trying to put his hands in his pockets, and then it just doesn't. Maybe the hand works up the back of the suit jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the baby.
If you wanted to, this is the point. Now in like the writing process, I would think of, because this just popped in my head, you would kind of think of like what the world of this character is like. Like if this is something that land sharks regularly, like he knows he's gonna do this. He knows he probably does this all the time. Like he can't watch any type of sad television show because this is every single week. Any type of Extreme Makeover Home Edition, he can't watch it because once those autistic kids get their new house and they're super happy, he loses it and land sharks. So maybe what kind of precautions would someone who land sharks all the time maybe take to
He
hide?
duct tapes his hand by his
Duct
side.
tapes? I
And
mean,
he's like, oh man, guys, I'm so sorry. Like, fucking
Where's
dresses?
we're dresses.
No, he should have
That's a whole other sketch.
He should have someone ask him what he's doing and just be like,
Oh, nothing. My arm itches.
Yeah.
I
Well, that's to try to make it easier.
Yeah.
My arm itching.
Yeah, you know my back.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a good thing to happen, like maybe like towards the top of the sketch. Like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. Like, this is just how I do this. It's fine. It's really cool, right? Everyone does this.
Well, I
Yeah.
get it all the time.
So maybe he does have duct tape, and maybe before he yes.
Go by the coffin, show
Oh, it's like Grandma. You always liked it when I did it. That is another good.
what if you try to like turn her over and land shark with like use her hand to land shark herself and then like just scream and like go away?
After I did that,
And he like keeps the duct tape on his arm, like you know how like.
Yeah. So I would feel like before he goes up to do the testimony, he would probably duct tape. Maybe he would like try to duct tape his hand down to try to keep it because he knows he should be doing this. Yeah.
After, if he dies in the story afterwards, they all can come back as ghosts and Lynchburg
I think you have really big ideas for like a screenplay. It's like 2 hours of this Landshark. At this point, he's gone up. He like, I have to do the testimony. Duct tapes his arm down, and now this is also what was that? This is also a funny thing because I write for actors. There are 6 actual actors. Does anyone here want to be an actor when they grow up? Awesome, yeah. Actress, actor-type person. There are 6 actors on my team who are professionals who do this all the time. They're in commercials. They're on some like 30 Rock, especially because 30 Rock tapes in New York. So all the writers in the writers' room on 30 Rock are my friends. So I just like brag about that. So I have actors that I write for, and this is the time where you really trust people. There's a lot of teamwork involved in writing sketch comedy because the words that I write on the page are funny, but I'm trusting not strangers, but like someone else to actually bring this to life. And as an actor, like they have to think about all these things. An actor has to think about, well, I Landshark all the time. So what, as an actor, like as a person who does this, how do I emote this to the audience? So I feel like something like having my actor duct tape their hand to their back, and then while giving this very moving testimony the entire time, just like doing like physical comedy, which I'm like not that great at because I'm not an actor. That's a fun bit of physical exercise that a actor would love to do. So after they give the testimony, we're like now, we're ready to like do a big crazy thing, like
Taking the
casket away.
They're loading it in. He's one of the people that's loading the hearse, and he drops it because he has to.
Oh, the pallbearer.
Yeah, pallbearer.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
He just has
pallbearer.
to. They put him as.
He loved his grandmother a lot. But also, that's a great thought. Like, why would they? You have to. Your audience is going to ask. You
That
have
could
to
be a
know.
little side conversation. It's like in the background, like could be like talking to the side.
Yeah, no,
I'm learning how to write on this thing. It's fun. Yes, it would be Paulabera. It's fine. It's Paulabera. Trust me. So now this guy has to be the pallbearer. And now it's like super like having to hold like the casket while also trying to do this. And then we go to the blackout, which would either be maybe the person dies from landsharking, the super sad ending.
The
The casket falls out and the body falls out, and nobody knows the grandmother's head has been like this the entire time. And then the sketch is over. And we have a sketch. Wow. And if you look, like, let's see how it increased. Like, we have our idea, which is Landshark. We got what is funny about this idea. We do it when we're sad, or we do it when it's out of nowhere, out of context. What's a funny way to do it? When you're sad, where a funeral, then seeing the body, hearing a song, saying, giving testimony, and then being the pallbearer. See how like all these increase in terms of like stakes and like gravity. Yeah.
And like another side conversation would be like, why does he do that? Be like, oh, he's emotionally unstable.
Yeah. Because you want to have there's the old tried and true comedic method of like the goofy person and the straight man. Like the person who just like stands there and like comments on like, why are you doing all this? That's crazy. I'll do it anyway. And then you have the wackadoo person who goes crazy. Awesome. So yeah, that's essentially writing a sketch. And you can also apply this to any type of like essay writing. The really boring essay writing that you're gonna have to do a lot in high school. I know. I made it fun by thinking of it like this. Like when you read a book and they're like, well, you have to like, what are the themes? What are the metaphors? What are the allusions in this text? You can think, what did I find interesting in it? What is the Landshark of this book that I've just read, of Lord of the Flies, or what's a book? Great Expectations? I don't.
Twilight.
Twilight. Are you guys doing research on Twilight in school? Okay.
You guys, some of you guys read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a hard book to read.
Yeah, so if you had to like write an essay on To Kill a Mockingbird, you would look at the topic you were given and then be like, well, what is my take on this? What do I find interesting about this? Because honestly, do you want to write about something you're not interested in? No. So you could be interested in anything. You have an opinion on everything. Voice that opinion. Find that cool little thing that you want to write about and then write about it. And then you can use this method of like, what did I like? Why did I like it? And then what? And then structure it in order of like your like point that's pretty obvious. Your point of like, oh, okay, that's a little more thinking, and then your doozy at the end. It is applicable. But yeah, now you know how to write a sketch. This is you can do this with anything. You can do like stand-up comedy this way. You can write songs. I mean, like if you listen to a song is usually about like one thing. It's about like, I love this person, but they won't date me. All of what's her name? Taylor Swift songs are all about that, right? She's like, someone else has my man and I don't have him. Why would he notice me? It's like every one of her singles, I feel. Right? I'm trying to speak younger than I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I just know like 2 songs. I don't know.
All of them are about
Yeah. So like songwriters like they have that idea, and then in the verses of the song they explore them, and then the chorus is like the game of that. So yeah, I mean that's how you write a sketch. I think that's also how you can apply it to other things that you guys write. Is there any questions or?
This is 100% going to be premiered where you work.
I can't, guys. I can't steal your ideas. I mean, I would feel awful. Yes. What's your question? What's your?
Yes, it is. We're gonna say it.
Go ahead, Raina.
What? You guys own this. You wrote this.
Hey, Mr. Hahn, say this.
If I get on Saturday Night Live, yeah, sure. I hope so.
Jenna Marbles.
Chicken soup.
Hang on, guys. What do you think kind of your next step is where, right now you've done your internship, you're writing for the UCB, Citizens, yeah. Yeah,
it's very, UCB is so much easier to say.
Yeah. Where do you kind of see or hope your life will go next?
I really love writing comic books. Like, I'm very much into comic books, and
you have a blog too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have blogs. I write for some comic book websites, like doing articles and like interviews and stuff. But I would love to write for Parks and Recreation, or sort of like, I love Parks and Recreation. It's probably my favorite show right now. And I mean, that's another thing I want to tell you guys. Like, if you like, what are your favorite shows?
Modern Family. Sports Center.
Modern
If it is a show that is written like Modern Family or Parks and Rec or Hawaii Five-0, you can write an episode. Write one. Because the way that you get a job being a writer is having what they call spec scripts, which is you like, hey, I wrote an episode of Hawaii Five-0. Here, like hire me. Because what the producers of shows want to see is that you know the rules of a show and that you know how to write within the rules. Because unfortunately, everything in life has rules. Ugh. And they want to know that if you're writing a Modern Family script, like what is something that would never happen on Modern Family? Yeah, if you wrote a spec script that had like Cameron and Jay dying in a plane crash or something, they'd be like, okay, well you're crazy. We're not going to hire you because that would never happen on our show. Or if like Gloria became a ghost hunter, or like and went to space. Like they want to know that you know how to follow the rules of their show. So I would say to everyone, if you have a favorite show and want to be a writer, go on and start writing episodes right now. Like watch your favorite shows and study them. I mean, I wrote an episode of Seinfeld when I was in 8th grade, which my mom probably has been thinking this entire time, waiting for me to bring up. But I love Seinfeld, and something crazy happened to my parents, and they were like, write this. And I wrote an episode of Seinfeld when I was in 8th grade. Was probably not good. I mean, Mom probably thought it was great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but I mean, if I write it now, it'd probably be awful. But I mean, that's a fun thing you can do. And if you want to write, it's good to be prepared like that. Like right now, I've written half of a Parks and Rec script that I need to finish. In college, I wrote a whole Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode for class. It's my favorite show. Yeah, like my next step, I feel like, is I need to actually like start writing spec scripts, like actual episodes of television to have when agents want to like know, like, well, we want to see what you can write. Or even like SNL, like I now have enough contacts at SNL that I could submit a packet. And the thing that I have a leg up with other people is that I've been at the UCB for 2.5 years now, so I have about 40 sketches that have gone through this exact process that we just did, where I like talked to my teammates and like bounced ideas off of each other and came up with something as awesome as land shark. Like I have like 40 land sharks. I'm very lucky about that. So I feel like that's my next step, I hope.
So who are some of your influences that you've liked through the years, and maybe some of your favorite TV shows? When
I was a kid, I loved. Like Friends was my favorite show. Like Friends was like the first show. Like, it started in '94.
I love that shit.
Yeah, glad that people still watch it. I was 10 when that started, and me and my mom and my dad would watch Friends every Thursday night for 10 straight years.
It's still
on. And like Friends and Seinfeld, and then like I discovered Saturday Night Live. I really loved like Bob Newhart's show, Mary Tyler Moore's show, Dick Van Dyke's show, I Love Lucy.
I like It's Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a great show. And now like I love, Amy Poehler. I'm so glad that I worked for Amy Poehler's theater, because I feel like she's one of the greatest comedians of the past 10 years. Amy Poehler is fantastic. Her and Tina Fey are brilliant. I would love to work with either of them.
You guys have any questions at all?
No comments on my writing. I know it's awful. So just put all your my awful handwriting questions.
He wrote, you actually in third grade.
Third grade. And then
Third grade, and it was downhill ever since.
Any questions?
You need to get one of that, but my handwriting.
Yeah.
My handwriting's horrible also.
Handwriting questions.
Yeah.
Just put the pin back in there. I don't have to click it or nothing.
Oh.
Touch it.
Did you lose everything? Is it all gone?
It's all gone. So no questions at all? Well, I'll tell you what. I thought Miss Hardy was in here. I was gonna walk you guys up to the office, and let Miss Hardy take the rest of you guys outside. But
We can just go outside ourselves.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's just hope the
We'll
superintendent of
supervise. We'll
school shows up and
supervise.
sees you doing
Yeah, we'll
that.
supervise.
Oh, thank you.
I'll
Guys, let's give Brett a big hand.